Hey, what's up, everyone? This is David Greenspan, and you are listening to Season 4 of the Mindshare Podcast. Additional podcasts are available at mindshare101.com and on all the major podcast platforms. This week's episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems and the Buzz Conference. Now, make sure you check out the Buzz Conference at www.thebuzzconference.com and follow them on Instagram at the Buzz Conference to keep tabs on all of the amazing events they are always hosting, as well as getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. I also want to make mention that they've got the Queen Bee event happening this week in Toronto at the Bisha Hotel. The event is now sold out, as they always do. But hey, keep tabs on everything they're up to. And again, check them out online at www.thebuzzconference.com, as well as visit them on Instagram at the Buzz Conference. Of course, Kits is also with us today as a sponsor, as always. And I mean, I have to tell you, our team keeps coming up with new ways to make this powerful marketing system even more powerful. I mean, it's one thing to be using a bright, shiny CRM because other people are doing it. But it's a whole next level to like when you actually have a CRM which has a complete suite of marketing tools tied right into it. No need for third-party providers, no need for separate email blast systems. All your social media is built right in. Websites, landing pages, an open house registry tool in your CRM. The most effective keep-in-touch tools to help you build mindshare. I mean, seriously, Kits is loaded, and you need to check it out if you haven't yet. Now, I warn you, once you check it out and start using it, you're going to be hooked. But, I mean, I guess that's not much of a warning as much as it is a little bit of like, well, actually a lot of very friendly advice. Check out Kits by going to my site, www.mindshare101.com, and click on Marketing. As you know, we're also on a push to get to 100 reviews on iTunes, and I would like to ask you, if you haven't yet, please take 2 minutes, rate the show, leave a review, and of course, we make it super easy for you each week. All you have to do is go to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. As always, thank you in advance. Today's episode is number 177. As an entrepreneur and sales leader, he has been coaching and mentoring sales professionals for over 20 years. He says the transfer of knowledge is our greatest challenge as leaders. Getting his career started with a franchise company, he would teach and train young entrepreneurs how to run their own businesses through the College Pro franchise system. Going on to say that the idea of running my own business, being in control of my time, sales, and employees really excited me. Once I had tasted this experience, I wanted to share it with others. He also says sales is one of the easiest industries to get into, yet the most difficult to master. After much success developing his sales craft and feeding his entrepreneurial hunger, he came on at Century 21 Millennium full-time as a manager and mentor to agents who look to reach their dreams. As a true sales leader in the industry of real estate and beyond over the past 20 years, he is in the business of creating Rainmakers through sales professionalism. This week on the show, I am joined by Century 21 Millennium's very own Trevor Evans. Trevor, welcome to the Mindshare Podcast.
Hey, that was an amazing introduction. I feel so important. Thank you, David.
Well, listen, man, we're grateful to have you here today, man. It's good to see you, buddy. It was nice to see you at the Buzz the other day, too.
I was going to say, as you were doing your opening there, just to get out amongst other people, put pants on, because we do these Zoom meetings. We don't really need pants when we do these Zoom meetings. It was great just to be out amongst other people. I really enjoyed it. It was much needed after all this time cooped up for the last couple of years. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. You know what? And that was the one thing that I really took away. Like, there was a lot of great stuff happening there at that event. Just getting to see people take that selfie, shake those hands, hang out with each other was special.
Yeah, there were some really good speakers there, and speakers like even 2 years ago before COVID shutdown, like these people didn't even hit the radar. And what's been interesting the last couple of years, people talk about disruptors, new agents getting into the business, but it's really professionals in their own craft and their own industries now taking a transfer into real estate. And I think that's raising the bar. Some of the speakers, some of the concepts, you got some great talent that just entered the market the last couple of years. So that is exciting and frankly refreshing to see that caliber of people coming into the industry. It's putting everybody on their toes, which I like.
Well, here, tell me this then. So we talk about getting into the industry, and I had read sort of one of your quotes here, but I wanted to ask you back. Why is it that sales is one of the easiest industries to get into, but one of the most difficult to master? Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's not my quote. I've read that. I've taken that from somebody else, of course. But, I started my career in sales, in corporate sales. And you mentioned the College Pro Painters. That was a summer job that I basically grew into after I graduated from university and college. But I found once you were in corporate sales, that's where the money was, frankly. That's where, if you had a personality and you had some desire to make some extra coin as a commission concept, that was really attractive for people to get into the business of sales. And like I started my career off in corporate sales as in conferencing, collaboration, video conferencing when it was free and not just an app on your phone. But that was cool to get into, but the turnover in that business, amongst other industries, it was significant. You'd hire someone on board, work with them for 3 months, this person's not going to make it, and then out they'd go to bring on the next one. That churn was, significant, but it was difficult to master. The folks that started really catching those deals and seeing that success were the self-aware individuals, the people like you'd watch the top salesperson in the office. What are they doing? How are they doing their calls? Let me listen. Okay, they're doing 80, 90 calls a day. The observant person listening to other people make their mistakes or having those successes. That was something that I think was a big part of realizing that success. That self-awareness as a sales professional is a rare thing to come across. And I think that reflectiveness is what makes a great person in any industry, in any craft, but is very apparent in the business of salesmanship. Because that's where you're seeing the results. People respond to it, they buy it, they sign off on it. So that's kind of my take on that.
Okay. So you use this word a few times there, professional. What's the definition? What's your definition of sales professionalism?
I think that's a great question. I think we are in a business now where a lot of people can get their license, their real estate license, but not everybody is a professional. You see the statistics, you see the numbers. A top performer, might be bringing in $150,000, $200,000, and then they can start kind of giving themselves that ranking. I'm a top performer now. But there's a lot of people starting off or kind of coming to the end of their career where they're just not fully committed in the industry. And this has been an industry where you can be a part-time person, which makes up a big chunk of the real estate landscape. I just don't think it's something you can tell. David, you can tell when talking to someone if they're part-time or they're full-time. You can tell if someone is well educated through either reading or are they picking that up on something they saw on TikTok, or that extra effort is what makes I think the difference between a professional and just any real estate agent, for that matter. They're committed to their craft, they're committed to learning, and they do things that others don't do. These overachievers tend to go above and beyond. And is it necessary? No. But you do see after a while, they're going to have more wins than losses because they do those extra little elements that show someone that they care. So in my rambling of what a professional is in the business of real estate, it's someone that is fully committed, their heart, their soul, their support structure around them has it fully. The results will come. The professional in that person is in their character that will bring the results down the road. So
okay, so I'm going to take that segue then, and I'm going to take that in, and I'm going to move that to, when we look at the way an agent runs their day to day. I want to go specific for a moment as we talk on the topic of professionalism. We bring up communication. We talk about day to day. What about the day to day interactions with others, between themselves and others, and really acting as a true professional when we do that, and understanding that there's a lot of parties involved. We're involved. The other agent is involved, which means there's another organization involved. There's other, there's our client, there's their client. There's actually probably 4 parties, if not more, that could be privy to something happening, that any bad or good experience can have vibrations, across all of them. Right. And when we look at the day-to-day interaction between agents, there's a lot of times, and I'm sharing this shortly, another story that has come up recently, but it's this thing of, we almost feel insulted when another agent asks us a question that we may not like, and therefore we bite back. Yeah. How should we be acting, though, instead? I mean, what's the better way to collaborate and be that professional and communicate with each other? Like, what does it mean to be a true professional when it comes to your dealings with other people? Does that make sense?
I mean, that's a leading question. You've already answered your question, really, but it is. I'm very aware of what you're laying up there. Someone who is a problem solver in a successful negotiation. All parties either win or they all lose, but it is not one over the other. If it's competitive, which, I'm a competitive guy. If you get me playing Monopoly, well, watch out.
That's what the kids are not, right?
Yeah, but this ain't a fight. It's not a brawl. This is real individuals who are trying to put a roof over their head or trying to extend themselves to rather than just, work for somebody. Maybe I'm going to invest in real estate and try to get a little inch by inch, get my investment working for me through rental. We're not in a battle. We are in the business of making people's lives and dreams come true. That's not something that we should get aggressive or too competitive over. And we're framing this conversation about rainmakers. What is it to be a rainmaker? How do we make rainmakers? I think, through and through, like these people they're revealed. These individuals are revealed. And I think when it comes to working with other professionals to get the job done, they tend to be problem solvers. They tend to try to help everybody in the deal, so everybody feels like they're getting something out of this. So I think that really is the problem solving component. Looking out for your fellow colleague is just as important, to be a professional. This is a small world, the business of real estate. I come across all these agents over and over and over. Oh, you're Trevor. Yeah, I've heard you're a cool guy. Yeah, you got that cool truck. You're a good guy. You hear
definitely have that cool truck. That's for sure.
Yeah, you hear that top performer, Kyle Shupchak, Aaron Darman and Brad Harvey. Like you hear these names over and over and over again. After a while, you're going to come across someone's like, oh, I know about you. You're a really good person to deal with. And I would rather that impression with colleagues when they come across me for the first time. And I think that's another thing that professionals are doing. They're not doing it for this transaction. They're thinking about the future transactions with other colleagues in the future.
And I think that what we need to do is be more relational than transactional. And that's with our clients. That's with the other agents involved, because I love what you just said there. This is that look ahead to down the road. And that's one of your big steps. And I wanted to say that. I was going to say, what's step number 1 for any salesperson looking to become a rainmaker in real estate? And I think you really just answered a lot of that. So if I took that a step further and I said, okay, so what about anybody who's been in the business 1 to 5 years now? Somebody brand new or somebody that's been 1 to 5 years, how do they take themselves and get to that next level?
I was dissecting what's the pivotal point for new agents versus experienced agents, as we call them. It is that 2-year mark. It's always been historically, because your courses, you're either reinvesting in yourself, taking the additional courses to get your full license. But it really is 2 years that I think an agent gets to that next level. So I look at, a new agent's under 2 years, and then beyond that, the 2 years. But I think, kind of bringing your business to that next level, I always keep, it's redundant, but I keep going back to the basics. I meet with agents who've been in the business for 10 years and they haven't done that first step. They haven't done that first step. They haven't done the basics to their business. So whether you've been in the business 20 years, and I have sat down with people, they've been in the business 20 years. I have no perceived right. This guy's got, so much experience. And I sit down like, wow, you haven't done that database yet. That's the first one right there. We haven't done that. And it's not a criticism. It's just the environment that person put themselves into didn't foster those principles of business. And that's why, I think it's valuable what's happening in the industry. It's not the young folks that are getting their real estate license, 20s, 30s. It's people like in their late 30s, 40s, 50s that are getting into the industry, and they get the business, the concept of running a business. So the reception to, guys, what we need to do now is start with your database. Boom, they do it right away, and they start seeing the results. And of course, the market has a lot to do with that right now in the last couple of years. But that really is, if you're an agent, you've been in the business 2+ years, and you're not seeing that 200K transaction result or revenue result for GCI, it's probably because you haven't set it up. You haven't set that foundation up. And of course, I'm biased to what you have to offer with your other business. It really, but it is the start. You start with the people that know you, like, trust you. Start communicating to them. Start marketing to them. Then we can talk about the sophistication of the countless marketing strategies are out there. But if you don't hit that 80-90% of your opportunities out of the gate, or you're still 10 years into it, you still haven't done that, that's where we're going to start. That's where we're going to start, David. I don't know if that's the right answer.
No, you know what? I love where you're at with that, man. Because you're talking my language. You know that. I'll tell anybody, if you haven't built up your database, I don't care where you're at in your career. If you haven't built it up, like I'm telling you right now, the reality is, before you brush your teeth tonight, go build that database. Right? We're talking to people all the time right now that are telling me, and especially clients that are working with us like very closely on a coaching perspective, who we've helped change that paradigm. Look, we got to get back to this group. We've got to talk to these people. This is where your business comes from. And as you do the track and you look over their, say, past 12, 24, 36 months of business, they will tell you that the majority of it came from the database. So you go, okay, what are we doing to work the database? And oftentimes, because of the pace that we move, because of the type of market that's been going on, people aren't putting enough time into it. Right? But they're always searching for that next level of success. And when we look around the landscape of agents and we think about what differentiates the busy, productive agents from the ones who want to be busy and productive, it really comes down to that database, right? Like, how would you say, what would you say is the bogey to define your success in real estate? Sorry, I apologize. Totally cut you off as I asked the question, but oftentimes we will break it down to what we just said a moment ago around dollars. But is that the only bogey?
No, of course not. People get into the business because they hear, oh, wow, these real estate agents they're making a ton of money. I want to get me some. Talk to a few agents and you'll start to hear that's not the theme. That's not the norm. I actually find if you're focused on, and without sounding romantic, helping others, but that really is the focus, putting roof over somebody's head. That's what we're doing. Then getting them to the next home. In that process, you have to care through that process. And there are agents that are absolutely transactional. There are agents that are perceived as transactional. And then they're like, oh, that person doesn't care anymore. They do so many transactions. Not true at all. Not true at all. I rarely actually come across top performers that it's just about the transactions. I know there's a cliche or there's a perception out there. No. My agents who are doing the most number of transactions, they care about every single deal. They've just now become more efficient on producing the bigger numbers. But, again, back to your question there, what are people focusing? What should top performers be focusing on? People want to do business with people they like. That they want to enjoy their company. If you're going to listen to anybody's voice through a process of selling your home the most, yes, of course, the competence has to be there. But do you like that person? Do they speak your language? Are they lining up with your value systems and everything's clicking? Yes. There's a great phrase. I don't know if it's appropriate language for a podcast, but it's deep and it works and it's real. Don't be a dick. Be a nice guy. Be a nice person.
Did you take that from me yesterday?
No way.
I put that out there and I thought to myself, I'm like, man, that might have been a little bit harsh, but
you
it's all
know,
good now.
the ugliness comes out as it becomes intense at times, and that's where I think a lot of agents' egos can trip them up, including my own.
Oh, man, you're so
You got to settle it down a little bit. Don't be too aggressive. And again, don't put the focus on you and your numbers and your focus being making the money. Put it back on that person struggling, stressing out. How am I going to make my first payment? How am I going to make these future payments as the market is changing? They're stressing out. Put it back on them, right?
Listen to the comment of "don't be a dick," and I seriously, I want to take that and run with that for a quick second. All jokes aside here, but it's that thing of if I call you up and I go, Trevor, my name is so-and-so from such and such brokerage, and my client's willing to do blah, blah, blah on your listing. And you're like, what? Like, how could you even ask me that?
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're being a dick, right? Yeah. And you're thinking I'm being a dick. Let's just be real here. That's why you reacted the way you did, because the way I posed the question. And what I want to say to everybody right now is that I have every right, as long as I do it politely, respectfully, ethically, to call you up and say, look, this is what I'm willing to offer you. You may not like what I offer you. You may wonder, like, Dave, what are you on? Or what have you been looking at comps to even come to me with this offer? But you don't need to be a dick, right? Yeah. You can respond back to me properly, have a proper conversation, try to, sort of have a call it proper conversation, right? Explain to me what the numbers look like. Explain to me and maybe, probe why I'm offering that. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to do it, just say, thank you. I appreciate the call, Dave. We're not going to go forward with that. Great, Trevor. Thank you for your time. Now what happens? We had a cordial conversation.
Yeah. And 2 points, like that's something that's going to come up a lot, David, what you just said there. As a buyer's agent now, you're going to start working with individuals, buyers, of course, that are now, hey, what kind of deal can we get?
That's right.
And then you're as a salesperson, you're now on, or the listing agent, you're now on defense. It's not like what it was the last 3 years. And it just like, that was an iceberg that just flipped.
Yep.
Right. And I think it's a classy salesperson that can show the maturity, what you just described there, not just in working with the other agent, but also coming back to your buyer. I was listening to I forget the woman this morning that brought it up, a leader down in the US. And I was listening to her message, and it was, when you're working with those buyers, it's like they want to put a knife in the back of the seller. It's like, it's been really tough the last few years. Now I'm going to try and make it hurt for you. As professionals, we need to kind of soften that tone with our buyers as well too. So I think that's a great message you brought up there.
Look, man, I think both sides need to understand it, because the reality is if I'm on the buying side and I don't maybe come to it as I want to stick the knife in you, but I come to it and I go, I'm going to do the best I can for my clients.
Yeah.
Again, I've got every right to lowball you and negotiate with you. And you've got every right to say to me, we're not accepting. And as long as we can do that professionally, we can do that cordially, let's think it's going to be a better overall experience for both of us. We're going to have a better experience for our clients when we go back and let them know what's going on. We're going to be able to negotiate a deal. And because you said it a few minutes ago, when I do see you and cross paths with you again down the road, which we will, we're going to be cool with each other, right? We're going to be cool. We might even be more collaborative with each other, trying to figure out how do we make this one work together. It's great to see you again. You know what I mean?
It's so funny. Like as you're talking like this, you're role playing it. I'm thinking back to all the conversations I've had with true professionals. You'll come across an agent every once in a while, and you'll never see their name again, and it happens quite a bit. And then you'll come across someone that from a brokerage, and it's like, wow, that person was memorable, and you keep coming back to that person. You see, they have all the listings. You see, they have control. There's a reason they're in that position.
That's exactly it. Now, as we talk about, and our goal today, how to be a rainmaker in real estate, right? And we've talked about professionalism, collaboration, work in your database. These are all massive, massive points that people need to understand. This is not about go spend a ton of money on something to try to deliver business. This is not about trying to find some magic pill. This is not about trying to go to every single conference. And I'm not saying don't go and don't educate yourself. By all means do that. But it's not about, oh my God, I'm slow. Let me go to that next event to see what I could find. No. Be professional daily. Be collaborative daily. Work your database daily. And I believe from what we're talking about today, and even beyond our conversation today, Trevor, you and I didn't need to have this conversation today for both of us to agree on all of those points so far, right?
Yeah.
That's where success comes from. Now, with all of that, and there's so much to do in a day, what kind of emphasis do you put for yourself? And then as you're mentoring your agents and that big organization, a C21 Millennium that you guys have, what are you doing to put an emphasis on time management? What kind of emphasis do you put on it?
So, that's a great question. And I'm just going to back it up again, frame it out. So I am a manager of one office, and that is in Brampton. We have about 148, 49 agents in this one office. Okay.
You got 149 in that office, yet you got about 200 in that office that love you. I don't know how you do it, Trevor. You're a magician.
Yeah, so there's 5 offices. We have 5 offices, right? So
but all 5 offices love you. The 6th office loves you, and they don't even exist yet.
I hope they do. But so there's we've got other
Trevor Evans, everybody. Trevor Evans.
We got other offices. We got other agents. So when you ask a question about time management, I can't put all my time into all the offices. I have a great support system around me as well, too. There are other managers here supporting as well, okay? And we specialize in different things at different times. As far as, if you're asking me about my time management with individual agents,
I'm looking at that work-life balance, right? Like we know, like you're a father.
Yep.
Right? You run an office, you've got a business, you do your own things, you've got pastimes, you got a lot going on. You're dealing with a lot of people on a daily. How do you manage it? Or what kind of emphasis do you put on personally for yourself between that work life? Yeah. But at the same time, what kind of message are we delivering to the agents when we say, hey, here's how you got to be running things?
Yeah, well, you brought the wrong person on to talk about time management. I thought it was Rainmakers. If you're looking for the top stars, the top performers, they're 100% in it. And it's full commitment myself. It's not time management I focus on. I focus on time prioritization. Actually, I think there's no such thing as time management, especially.
Oh, buddy, you're talking my language.
You're just, if you want to, I could sit at my computer all day long and just work. I can make phone calls all day long. I just work. I prioritize what is the 3 or 4 items today, tasks, because we are task oriented. That's what entrepreneurs are. It's about task. Well, if I only had 10 hours, what are the 3 most important things I need to get accomplished today? The biggest return on my investment is the answer to that. So you have to be quick. Is this something I put time into or not? Is it necessary to bring in the goals that I had for the day? I can get distracted very easily. Agents get distracted very easily. There's so much stimulation all over the place.
Hey, hold on 1 second. My Facebook just went off.
Oh, okay. Exactly. But yeah. But like I do the old school. Oh my God! I'm gonna show you. This is awful. I write down the things I got to accomplish in the day when I sit down. I just write it out. I'm showing my age. I could put that on my software. I just write it out. But those 3 items get done that day. So I prioritize my time. I find top performers do that as well. We can manage a lot in our heads, but when you write it down, you physically write that down. I think that's kind of like a basic item. And this is something, it brings up, I take for granted that I've been selling since I was 17 years old. I'm 44, for those of you who want to know. But so that's 20 plus years selling. And I do, by the way, I do put sales and customer service really closely together. They're doing the same thing. It's just the sales folks are really, the goal is that signature, right? Mm-hmm. More so, but I take for granted, and I think you would agree, the years of education, of mentorship that I have received from managers, from other leaders, from reading books. I read books. It becomes more difficult as time goes on, I find, but those fundamentals are really important in the business of real estate. And if you come from an industry where you didn't have that as a foundation, there's a lot more work you need to do at the very beginning. But again, it is tasks that need to be completed. So I'm all about, when I'm talking to agents, what are the tasks we're doing? Feelings are good, but we need to execute the tasks today, because the feelings will feel better if those tasks are completed from the day before.
So give me some, I guess, non-negotiables when we talk about tasks. What are some of those daily non-negotiables that, every agent really should be focusing on a daily basis?
Yeah, again, when we're talking about top performers. What are the top performers doing? They get up early. They wake up. They have a routine in the morning. Whether you like to do your workouts in the morning or you have breakfast with your kids in the morning, which is actually something I've done, which I've enjoyed really gratefully over the last few years with COVID. I had to slow down in the morning with my kids, taking them to school now or staying at home. And that time period became wonderful, frankly. But whatever that routine is in the morning, they've got their structured routine. They put their pants on, both figuratively and literally, in the morning. That's what top performers are. They're getting out there. Sales is a belly-to-belly business. I think the birth of social media has allowed us to reach so much more, but it's also slowing down the process, the natural connections that take place when you get together belly to belly with people. There's people have adjusted over the last few years. On the whole, we win listings face to face in that client's house. That's where we're winning listings. Are there people doing it without doing that? Of course there is. But generally speaking, we need to connect with others. So top performers are getting their pants on in the morning. They're getting out there, whether it be to a farm area, whether it be to their office, looking at the recent listings coming up. But they've got that routine in the morning that sets them off. And even if you only get those 2 or 3 hours of focused, intentional action towards your business, you've won the day at that point. I try to accomplish what I need to do first thing in the morning. That's where my headspace is at, and I think that's where most top agents are spending their time and getting those big results first thing in the morning as well. So,
yeah, I'll tell you, I'm going to double down on that as well, and sort of add on to that and say that making the list of priorities and prioritizing that time to know what needs to get done is crucial. But if we don't actually write that down, it's one thing to know it in our head, something's going to get missed. To add on to that, though, and be even more strategic about it to anybody, part of getting up in the morning is knowing what time are you getting up in the morning. And, we can all set the clock for 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time you want. But we all have the power to hit the snooze button as well and get up a little bit later, which means that everything else starts a little bit later, which means things happen a little bit later. And I've always been a big proponent of, if you're the early bird, get up and go get that worm. If you're the night owl, that's okay. Go get the worm while the early bird is going to sleep. Fine. But do not let your sleep patterns affect the opportunities you're going to create for yourself. Okay. Much the same too, that if you do decide, hey, I'm going to get up at this time, this is what my morning routine is going to look like. When I asked you a few minutes ago about work-life balance, I would suggest that thing about reading, self-development, personal development, that part about hanging with the family and the kids and being there with them while they figuratively and physically put on their pants, teaching them how to be people. I think that's when we even talk about success and what brings success. To me, that's a big part of success. Are you feeding your brain? And are you there for your family? Okay. The next thing becomes, what am I doing in business? And we talk about non-negotiables. The next thing I'm going to say to that is the third point here now is it's nice to have a priority list. It's nice to have a to-do list. You will get done. You will get things done. When you attach times to all of that, you will get it all done. Because now you can actually see what kind of time do I have in the day. Because I know that my hour between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:20, is my kids' time. That's not my social media time. That's not my email time. That's not my business time. That's my kids' time. And if I stick to that, I achieve success in a personal place. I spend time with the most important people in my life. I feel better about myself. And now I'm ready to take on the world, right? Because I've warmed up. So again, scheduling is crucial. And I'm with you on this. We cannot manage time because I could stop my watch right now. Yours will keep ticking.
Yeah.
But we can empower time to manage us. Now we talked about where we think most agents get their business from, and maybe I'll bring that back up, but we sort of alluded to it when you said database. Where do, and maybe I'll just come out bluntly and say it, where do the majority of the agents that you see as successful, that you talk to, that you mentor and manage, that you are around, where do the majority of them get their business from? People they know or people they don't know?
Of course, people they know. I would say 90% of my agents that are top performers, it's within their sphere of influence. It's the people that they've had experiences with in previous years. There are 60,000 plus agents in Toronto on the Toronto Real Estate Board. You have your option of choosing an agent, but people do business with people they know, people they like, people they trust, and that's yours. I'm taken from your line there. But that is something that, again, we'll start there and then we go on to the other areas. I had a call this morning, a Zoom meeting, one of my top teams. His success always comes from his database, but he's the secondary is the farm area. So that would be, if there was a secondary, it is that farm area that they'll focus on. Of course, with the birth of social media, a lot of people ask, which CRM are you using? Which is the best one? There is no right answer to that. I find people use CRMs in the system as forms of marketing. In previous roles I've had, we went with one, and then the system, we tracked it and we typed everything out. But people are using these CRMs as marketing systems. So the question is, where are you getting and seeing the most marketing to your sphere of influence? That's why social media is so wonderful and it works. But there has to be other systems in place to support that. Your database is to be edified by your social media, not the other way around.
I like that.
Although, again, I know there's people listening, they're like, no, it's all I've ever done. It's all I ever do. It's still the fundamentals of that social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's still your database. You're still touching these databases. And it could be amazing all on its own. But systems is what drives this business. And whether you're aware of them or not, there's a system behind that.
Well, I like that too. And I like the fact that the way you spun that about the edifying. And I mean, I actually had that conversation with Coach Klein earlier this morning. The whole idea there is I've got my database. These are people I'm in touch with on a regular basis, but I'm not just leveraging just the database list. I'm going to leverage the different channels I have with different lists in different places, because there's going to be a lot of cross-pollination that happens there. And now my people that are going to see me through my database marketing are going to see me on social media. They're going to see the exact same person with two kind of different messages. We got the personal stuff, we got the business stuff. There's that perfect mix. And now we've got a communication strategy that is really effective, right? Now, what do you see? You talked about the farm area. And we know that with a farm area, we've got to feed the database, and then we convert those people. What is probably the most important communication tactic that you feel agents should have in place that really helps them build a lot of business? And dare I use the word easy? I don't like using that word. There's nothing easy about what we want most in life. But if we were to say that you can turn it on, it will work for you. Or if there's something there that you encourage people to be using, what would that be? Where do you see people, again, they come back and they go, this is really working for me?
Yeah, are you talking about specifically to farming or in general?
In general, for marketing, communication, just you sort of, maybe one of those effective, lucrative marketing tactics that you just feel is a good communication tool for people.
Yeah, I think that, and I've heard people answer this question as well too, and I agree with the cliche answer, which is just the consistency of it.
Yeah, I like that.
It needs to happen all the time, whether it be farming, whether it be newsletters, whether it be your social media. People have to depend on it, and that's the biggest challenge. This is not a difficult business. Real estate marketing in real estate is very simple. Doing it over and over and over again, repetitiveness is the challenge, because this isn't working, and we try to do something new.
Why is it so difficult?
To stay consistent?
Yeah.
I don't know, human nature. We're never happy with what we have. We think there's, someone else. I perceive someone else is doing something better. Maybe if I do it, I'll I'll spend less time on it is bringing me better results. Once upon a time, I used to go to the gym consistently, and during that consistency, where I saw the results. And when I go periodically, not only do I not see those results, I actually tend to get injuries because my perception in my mind, I'm doing too much, and I'm just a mess out there. So consistency is the challenge, and I think is important with any marketing that you invest into. That is the consistency. Now, as I just said, that word marketing, there's marketing of the business, and then there's the job of the business. One thing I notice regularly, and I brought this up earlier, when someone's doing this business part-time, right? Like when you're talking to me like, okay, it's just getting started or doing this part-time, your clients can see that as well too. They can see the competence coming through right away. And I think there's a big focus on what I'm doing in my marketing world and not as much sitting down with the manager in the office or your mentor or your own self coaching through books or hiring a coach or hiring a system. I'm seeing there's a real lack of that interest and that effort being put into that area, which if I wanted one message to go out to anybody listening to me today, it's work on that competence. And frankly, heading into this market, we saw a lot of transactions over the last couple of years. You put a for sale sign on the lawn, it's sold. Don't feed that. Don't believe that hype. And it's not real. The salesmanship is the development of your skill set. That's something that I think has really taken a second place position in the success of agents. I really want agents to be developing their stories through their listing presentations. I really want agents to be, and one of the things, probably my biggest session that I do on a weekly basis consistently is the pricing strategy of a house, where that house is, Trevor, is it going to go $100,000, $200,000 over? Is it going to go under now? That is the skill set and the thoughtfulness I want agents to be focusing on. But you got to do it all, of course. You got to do it all.
Well, okay, when we talk about doing it all, and we've brought up social media, we've brought up communication, I'll double down on this one and go, like, is social media the be all and end all of, growing your real estate business? And do we see the top producers / rainmakers, the people that are really successful, spending all day, every day using social? I mean, and I guess to that, I'll throw down a third one and kind of go, like, how do we want to see people using social media? What advice do you have on that front?
Well, on your first question, is it the end all and be all? It depends. It depends. Of course, you run your business how you want, what you're comfortable with doing it. I know there are people that love to do the social media and they're consistent with it. They're addicted to it. It is their form of existence, frankly. That is part of their identity. So do it. Again, when I got into the business of sales and life, when I started building my database in my early 20s, that's 20 plus years ago. Social media, not everybody I connect with is on social media still, which I find strange, but it's those phone calls, it's those texts, it's the social gatherings. I like to go out. I like to party. I used to say to an agent, where do I start, Trevor? Like, go and party, go with your friends, go reconnect with people. Because again, people do business with that people they like, but in front of them, it's got to be easy. You got to be accessible, and then your competence comes out. Let me ask you a question, Trevor. And there's not a party or event I go to where someone's not asking me about real estate, because of course, when they've seen me on social media, which is why social media is important, they know I'm a real estate guy. So that it edifies the relationship. That's where it comes back to. They already know I'm on Instagram talking about real estate, but I'm there connecting with them, building on that relationship, and then they want to talk about it. But how do agents? I don't know if hopefully I answered that question, but
it's just, I guess the idea is like, when we look at social media as a whole and the connection point, the amount of time people are spending on it, how people are leveraging it. I think there's a lot of good that goes on, but I think there's a lot of probably, better that could be taking place in terms of the way people post and how often they post, what they post about, how they leverage the platform, as opposed to just trying to hit people over the head with a sales pitch. Like video, right? We're on video right now. We talk about the importance of video. Like what what emphasis do you put on video for yourself? And then, do you encourage your agents to get on there?
Yeah, it's important, David. But I got to tell you, I have top performers that are not connected on social media either.
Right.
I don't know if you want to do that.
No, it's not. Listen, it's not about want to or not want to. I think it's important that people understand that. Right? This is real talk right now, right? Is that there's a misconception, and forgive me, there's a misconception here that a lot of people think I can grow my entire business on Facebook or on Instagram. And you can do a lot of good on these platforms. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying don't use them. I'm saying they are not the be all and end all. You've said it multiple times here. It's your database. It's going out and it's partying, and whatever that quote unquote word party definition really looks like, be it a nice little lunch or whatever, you're going out with people. Go to the gym with people. Talk and connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the message, David. I do think social media, you cannot be in the business of real estate today, getting into it and not have social media. It is a necessary tool. But I could say that about many marketing tools as well, too. Mm-hmm. You've got to do it all. And then eventually you will find your path. There's a great saying, and it's an American saying because the way they pronounce the word, riches are in the niches. Okay. Yeah. So you don't drill for oil, just going and then staying along the surface. You've got to go deep into it, but you can't go deep. You can't decide to go deep until you've got a read of the land. And in the marketing world, where's your audience? If you're a 20 to 30 year old, your audience is probably in the social media. If you're a 40 to 50 year old like myself, it's in a different area as well too. But I can't start digging deep unless I start trying many different items of marketing as well too. So
speaking of different items, then what about this whole world of like online lead generation? Is this stuff all it's cut out to be? I mean, do you think agents are overspending on this area of the business? Do you think they could be focusing dollars, time, effort in other places that are more lucrative?
Yeah, I do. That's a frustrating topic. For years, we've been trying different avenues as a brokerage. How can we help our agents? And you see some successes in different areas. But it just keeps coming back. It's not all that it's cracked up to be. And the ROI on it is not there.
It's not, right?
It's not. If you're if you gave Trevor, I got to make 2 calls today. And sometimes I feel like that's all I have time to do. I've got to be as efficient as possible. The industry standard for lead gen and converting those is just too insignificant for a guy like Trevor to jump into, or even any one of my top performers at this point. And when I say top performer, I'm saying anybody making over, say, 150 plus, I consider top performer. Is there a difference between someone making $1 million and 200,000? Of course there is, but you're still in the upper echelon, top 5% on the Toronto real estate board if you're making over that money, right? So, but I would say, identifying who you are and who you speak to and your audience, that's where you have to go after to get your business. And that's where it comes to. I don't think I've ever done an online lead and had the sort of success that I've seen from the Sphere of Influence marketing strategy.
Look, I will tell you this is that, and we both talk to a lot of people. There are people making money at it. There are. And, I also know just personally, those people spend a lot of money on that particular channel, like a lot, through generating a lead and the systems in the back end and the people power and everything. Like, it's a massive endeavor to be able to put it together. It's not impossible, but you got to have the right pieces in place, and budget is a big factor. Time is a big factor. So it's important to understand that, again, you can grow your business through that channel. That being said, are there more lucrative, quicker ways to get business where you spend less money? You probably get it a little bit, again, quote unquote, easier, right? Yeah. There certainly are. And it comes back to the database. It always circles right back to that, right?
Yeah. So, and even when you do get those, say you do convert, sorry to interrupt you, but you convert that online lead, you want to then bring them into the practice of nurturing them as an advocate, which
hence where I said the money. There's more channels involved. There's more tools involved, more cost involved, time involved, right? Yeah.
The goal is to become more efficient as your career evolves. You're not going to keep going after the online leads. You're going to bring them into your database and then nurture them to create referrals and repeat business from them. That's the ultimate goal. And I do want to say, excuse me, of course, the online leads do work. And again, in the right environment and there's better scripts. I've seen results of agents. Again, I got 250 agents. I've seen results of online lead generating agents on teams with amazing success, like really success.
Yep.
That's them though. That's their language. That's where they're comfortable. I had someone speak today. His team, they do farm area. They do not touch online leads unless it comes through the systems of their sphere of influence, which they architected through social media. So I'm not putting it down. No.
And that's what I'm trying to make sure I do the exact same. And everybody knows I'm very much like I will be outspoken about any marketing tactic that's out there just to bring light to the rhyme and reason as to why we're going to make use of it. Right. And again, to me, it's not about the fact that they don't work. Okay. It's about, again, understand that the system and the process that is there needs to be in place. Otherwise, you're literally throwing something at the wall, hoping it sticks, and you haven't got the right catch basin for it, the right net. You have to capture it, convert it, turn it into business. And I just think it's a harder way to go about doing the business in this business.
The other thing I notice about online leads, I tend to see the results of the online leads bring in less commissions. If you can pay for something, so can somebody else. Okay. Yep. So there has been historically saturation in that area where there's competition going in. In the college pro painter days, 70% of the time, you're the first person in the door, knock, 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 you're going to get that deal, even if someone does come your way. So if you have a special connection, either the first person to the table, or there is a relationship there, or you're referred to by that person, of course, not only does your closing ratio increase, your commission is easily either won. And that's the big one we're focusing on these days. It's not just the number of transactions. It's what's the closing ratio and what is your commission level that you're able to get. When you're referred to someone, that you're able to keep that more of that commission. And I do see that with online leads. I tend to see a lesser commission coming in from the agent on that marketing platform. Again, that's my observation.
Yeah, absolutely.
That are doing really good, keeping their either 2.5% or 3% on their listing, getting that listing.
And I'd suggest that most of the leads coming through are going to be buyer leads, not seller leads. And we know that in this market, the way we've been lately, personally, I'd rather have listings.
Sometimes now they want the buyer leads, though.
Well, yeah. So tell me this, we, for everything that we've covered off here today so far, one thing that we know is that at the moment there is frustrations out there in the market. We know that, again, prices are still up, although there is a change of the landscape that's happening. There is still that conversation around like, what should I say to them? How do I get them to do this? And I guess the question here would be, what message should agents be delivering to their audience right now to help them generate more business?
Through either social media or through their newsletters, whichever the medium?
I'm talking to my client on the phone. So I'm either sending my newsletter by email, by direct mail. I'm on social. I'm doing video. I'm having conversations. Like I want to put this message out there to my COI, as well as potentially even that extended COI, and kind of go, here, think about this, or call me if you have questions about this. I just want people to think about something. What would that be? So,
I see, I'm on TikTok. I see a really great message that's starting to permeate, or it's the format, and it's identifying the real concern that the seller or the buyer is having right now, identifying that, so describing that, and then bringing solutions to that. Okay. So if there is a message, whatever, is there something specific? No, but there is an audience that is receptive to, and then they are first-time homebuyers. Or there is an audience, and then they're receptive to downsizing the market. Whatever your niche is in that market, or your strength in your competence, identify what that is. But as you're messaging it out, I would be saying, identify what that what that problem is that they're facing, and then bring a solution to that. That's That's really where I see a lot of success in that communication. Excuse me.
I like that. So and great point right there. And I will again echo that entire thing and say to everybody, that's really what you want to be paying attention to. When you're on the phone with people and you're having conversations, what kind of things are they asking you? When you're scouring the social media and you're just, sort of scrolling through, what kind of things are you seeing people asking? Are people reaching out to you directly to ask you questions? What kind of newsworthy topics are out there? And that's going to give you a sense when it comes to content, when it comes to what to say to people, when it comes to the conversation, the posts that you're going to put up. That gives you a sense of what's going on out there right now. How can I provide some added value, some added information on that topic? That's where people's ears are going to perk up for a second and listen to you. And if they can learn from you, they're going to look at you as an authority. You're building positive mind share. Now you're giving yourself the opportunity for more market share.
Yeah.
Trevor, what have we missed today when we talk about being a rainmaker?
Yeah.
Is there anything we've missed today to kind of say to people, if if you're working towards becoming a rainmaker, and maybe for everybody tuned in right now, you've never actually coined that for yourself, but let's say the next level of your success, Trevor brought up at one point today, being a top producer, a performer. Did we miss anything there? There's obviously so much we can talk about.
Of course we miss so much. Of course.
Right?
It's endless. It's the multi.
You're supposed to say, well, we covered it all. Every single piece.
But hey, when we talk in terms of transferring knowledge, like what we're doing today, and that's all we're doing. I assume the people watching this, your audience today as well, they have a high level of self-awareness as well, and a desire to learn. That really is. You can have all the great answers in the world if someone, your audience, doesn't have that desire to develop and to get to that next level. It's useless, right? And I'm a big Star Wars fan. I always I'm always careful when I give advice to someone or direction. There's multi ways to handle things. Only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? So we got to be open as things are changing in the marketplace. But top performers, what are they doing? I think that self-awareness is so important. So important. And that means so many different things. But I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I think the skill sets, people need to be working, agents need to be working on skill sets now to sell houses. I think that's a real gap. The tide has come out now, and who's wearing shorts, who's not prepared, you're going to see who's got their shorts down by their ankles. And that is an ugly analogy, as I just realized, but it is truth. Like, there's ugliness to being unprepared. And the preparation, I would say, is key. When at any point in time, if you are an agent listening to this right now, if you do not have your identified listing presentation that you cannot pull out right now and show me, you're not prepared. If you don't have a marketing package I can pull out right now and show someone successes and pull back on those stories, you're not prepared. Those skill sets beyond the marketing side, which is what David and I are talking about, those are the ones that are going to be the big differentiators from someone who has a real estate license to a professional and a top performer in this business. Being prepared. You do not go and get your listing presentation. And I feel like I'm not trying to speak down, but you do not go out and get your listing presentation 2 hours before your listing. You take months to develop that. Mm-hmm. You do not go and print up some sheets here the day before. No, that's where top performers are shown. They have all this already prepared. So, yeah, that would be my little closing remark, I'd say.
Well, here I'm gonna go for two more here, sure, or maybe three more. But how do you know it's been a successful day for you?
As a manager or as an agent?
How about as a person?
Our self-esteem is directly tied with what we contribute to a group of people, your family, your job, your company. Those three items that when you wake up in the morning, you either write them down in the morning or the night before. If you've accomplished those three, I feel good about myself. I feel frustrated when I spent the entire day, it just got away from me, and I didn't get those three things accomplished. I am a giver in a relationship. I give and I give and I give and I give. And the problem with that is I'm not achieving my goals all the time. And that's not a victim to be speaking that way, but it is a balancing act. You have to accomplish you have to be there for other people, but you also have to be accomplishing your goals in that. And by the way, as a manager, as a partner in the company, my goals that I'm setting down, they're for the betterment of the group, maybe not just an individual as well too. So I'm not just doing it for me. There's a higher purpose and structure with my role. So yeah, I want to make sure I get those 3 items done every single day. That's what makes me feel good at the end of the day.
I think that right there is a big part of being a rainmaker, is doing it to help others, is doing it to make sure that whatever it is you are doing, it has some sort of positive impact on other people. It's not just self-serving. And I have found through asking that question now hundreds of times and having these conversations hundreds of times, if not thousands of times with many people over the years, the people that are truly winning are not doing it for themselves. Don't get me wrong. To everybody, understand, I am in business because I want to be successful. I am in business to better myself and my family. I am also in business very much to help better you. And I've found through my time and my experience, all of the experiences, that when I truly think about how can I help you get better, I get better. My family gets better. My business gets better. So the focus now changes to say, I'm going to help everybody else get better because I know in that process, we all get better.
Yeah.
Any final words, Trev? Just to help everybody get out there, build some mind share, grow their business, become that rainmaker, just anything you want to leave anybody behind with.
Well, I mean, I thought I gave some really good points there.
It's been really awesome. We could stop right now.
But I think, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. We are worst critics, of course, in a day. To feel good about yourself, your previous question, top performers are always really critical. That's a loaded question because you're a top performer and it's never good enough. It's never good enough. I get it. Yeah. But I think we have to also acknowledge the wins, not like bathe in them. I'm so great. I got my position in the company, but you got to celebrate those moments and really pat yourself on the back. That sounds cheesy, but you got to do it because we do it. Those little small wins bring the ultimate success. So I would leave it at that. But yes, have fun. People want to be around people who are having fun too. If you're so serious about the business of real estate, like lighten up. There's more to it than that. There's more to it with your clients than they're just coming and they're doing a transaction with you. They go back to their regular lives after they're done with you. You got to be a real person as well too. And I think that's the longevity. If it's all just real estate, that's not fun. That's not fun. Go have some adventures in your life, whether with your friends or your family or, personal growth, right? So that's what I would say.
Cool. Trevor, where can people find you, man?
Oh, they can come to me on Instagram, Trevor Evans C21. They can, I'm on Facebook. They can email me, trevor.evans@century21.ca. But I don't know. I got a TikTok, but I'm just a beginner. That's another thing. The top performers, they get themselves out there. I'm trying on that one as well too. But this is a humbling experience just chatting with you today, David. I hear the topic Rainmaker. I'm like, what? You gonna ask me? Yeah, I work with people and they're great. But at no point that's their success. I am simply a component of their story. And it's one component, just like in the marketing of your business. You got many facets. I'm just one component, but I'm grateful you invited me in to chat about this one today. So I really appreciate that, David.
Well, you were certainly a powerful component, and I say that through experience working with you directly. I say that through experience of working with your agents directly and knowing the way they look at the relationship that they have with you. And I know the impact you're making on the industry. So it's been an honor to have you here today, man. I thank you very, very much for making the time to join us on the Mindshare podcast.
Cool. Thank you very much, David. And thanks everybody just listening today. Appreciate it.
You're either listening to this on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify. Or maybe you went to my website, mindshare101.com, and while you're on my site, make sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle for Realtors. This is a 31-page ebook packed with a ton of tips and tricks for you. Plus, there's a ready-to-go 90-day social media content counter to help you build more mind share so that you can get more market share. And if you want to talk about personalized one-to-one coaching to help you get to your next level, just get in touch with us. We'll set up a free strategy call. We'll learn more about what you're looking to achieve and how we are going to help you do exactly that. Also, don't forget that our Push to 100 is on. All you have to do, and this is super easy, is go to www.ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Again, that's ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101. Little review, nice 5 stars. We'd be very grateful. And of course, if you haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at Mindshare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan101. I want to thank Virginia Munden and the Buzz Conference for sponsoring today's episode. Be sure to visit their website, www.thebuzzconference.com, and follow them on Instagram at The Buzz Conference to keep tabs on all of the awesome events they are always hosting, along with getting the latest copy of the Buzz Digital Magazine. And of course, I want to thank Kits Keep in Touch Systems for sponsoring today's episode. If you haven't checked this out yet, just go to my site, mindshare101.com, and click on marketing. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Thank you for tuning in.